Okay, I'm continuing. This is 35.2. This is the 35th day second video. And I'm continuing to try to defend the idea that language is amazing, to try to convince you of it. I'd like to make you all into linguists if I could, I think. But anyway, here's a fourth bit of evidence. Certain linguists, not all linguists, but certain linguists can tell, how did I write this, where I'm from by how I speak. If they listen to somebody speak, they can tell where that person is from. I don't mean that they can tell that they're American as opposed to English. If Ed in England is watching this, he would probably laugh at the idea that anybody would think that I was from any place but America. But I mean much more specifically than that. Now, everybody can do that to some extent. As a matter of fact, I have thought before that might actually be very important, conceivably even one of the causes of wars, because populations separate by what they have in common, and their speech pattern is part of it. To the layman, you might think, well, I'm talking about accents. Well, yes, I am, but I'm also speaking about which words do you use and stuff. I got to be careful because I do love this subject, and I could go into it too long. Well, when I teach this to my students here in Pennsylvania, a state of the United States, I will ask them, I'll go around the room and I'll say, now for example, imagine you've been eating fried chicken and you need a napkin because your hands are all, what's the word? And I ask them to try to think about how they would say it in their head. Now some would say greasy, and some would say greasy. Now I've got a backslash, e.g. means for example. I have a backslash to indicate a spelling for pronunciation. Well, if it's greasy, that's an S here, versus greasy, and there's no right or wrong to this. The kids worry about this a little bit. Oh, what's right? And I'll go around the room and I'll get them all to say it. Now, where I taught public school, usually this was the one that was the most common, but there were some kids that would say greasy. Well, going out through Pennsylvania, oh, what is the word for this? I want to say isogloss. Yeah, it's an isogloss. Like there's an isobar in meteorology, there's an isogloss. There's a line that goes out that separates speech communities. And it goes right out through Pennsylvania. South of here, people tend to say greasy. North of here, people tend to say greasy. Now, you can't be sure about it. Well, that business of crick and creek would be in there too, but then register gets involved. Another one that's real clear in Pennsylvania is here. If you're thirsty, you might want to drink of water. Now, I'm spelling it by my system of spelling, which I might tell you about later on. Water, that's the way we say it. But if people live in eastern Pennsylvania, especially around Philadelphia, they're going to say water. I want a glass of water. Water. There is no right or wrong to it. Neither one of these is spelled the way, is pronounced the way it's spelled. Water, I guess. I don't know how it would be pronounced, how it was pronounced back when they decided to spell it like it was. Another one in Pennsylvania is these three words. Where I live, and in my speech pattern, Mary, Mary, Mary. They all sound the same. But if you head east, you're going to run into where this is Mary and Mary are probably going to be the same. And this is Mari. And if you go further east to getting close to Philadelphia, there you're going to have east. I'm pointing the wrong way. I guess east would be this way for you. There you would have Mary, Murray, Mari. That's not natural for me to say, so that's kind of awkward. But anyway, if somebody said, my name is Mary, I'd like a glass of water, and I'm from Ohio, a linguist would know, you're lying. You're lying, or else you're an actress, because you would not speak like that if you were from Ohio, which is the next state west of us. All right, I'm trying to convince you that language is amazing. One more bit of evidence for today, a fifth bit of evidence. Each language has its own set of sounds, i.e., that means that is. I'm going to use this a lot. The linguistic term for that is phonemes, the sounds that make up a language. I should have added in here that English has approximately 42. There are approximately 42 sounds that you've got to be able to make to speak English. Well, every language has its own set. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't. In English, the sound represented by the letter R is very difficult for people who do not speak English. R. It's like you're taking a bite out of an apple. R. And you know, we say it naturally, Americans do anyway, no problem, unless you have a speech impediment from the time you're young, in which case you'll be made fun of. If you can't get that under control, you will be like Elmer Fudd, who had said, "I'm very sorry." That's such a hard sound to say that children will try to use a W, very, instead of very. They'll try to use a W instead of the R because they can't get it. But there's tremendous social pressure to speak, to get the phonemes right. In German, I like to use the sound represented by CH. Ich is the German word for I. And in English, someone trying to only use English phonemes, they're going to say ich, ish, or itch. Either one of those is easy for somebody who speaks English, but ich, well, that's different. And I don't think it's that hard for an English speaker to learn, because I'll say, well, think of a cat that's scared, and they go, they probably heard that, and I say, even do this with your fingers, and it might help. And then if you put an I in front of it, you've got ich, and you're getting it then. If you put an A in front of it, it's a little wetter sound, then it's ach. But back to ich, put an N in front of it, you don't have a German word, but we could say it anyway, nicht. And if you put a T at the end of it, you've got nicht. And now you've said the German word for not. If you go to ach, see, that's wetter. You bubble up a little bit there. If you put an N in front of it, or if you put a T at the end of it, or no, an N in front of it, you've got nach, which means until or up to. And if you put a T at the end of it, then you've got Nacht, which is the German word for night. That's kind of fun because kids can so quickly American kids can so quickly get that phoneme. But it's not a phoneme that is used in our normal speech. Some phonemes are so strange. African Bushmen have a click that they make, which is part of their collection that they make as they speak. They click. I think there are something like 200 possible human sounds, and any given language uses a selection of them. All right, I'm going kind of fast. This is fun. I love this subject. I'm going to give you one more video about something quite different today. So don't go away. Come back.